So as I was watching the Utah Jazz play the Minnesota Timberwolves last night, I was like, you know what? I wanted to talk about the Utah Jazz. I just talked about the New York Knicks, more so in a negative way in yesterday's video here on the SROS channel. So today I wanted to be a little bit more positive and just talk about how much I've enjoyed the Utah Jazz this season. And then something funny happened. I've dressed it a bunch already, but you probably saw if you're following me on Twitter or anything else. I did tweet this. Okay, so I actually tweeted something positive. Well, I tweeted two things positive. I was like, what Keonte George has done this year for Utah has changed the trajectory of their future so much, more so in a good way because of the leap he's taking, which feels like it's like a 2018 Donovan Mitchell leap, 2019 Donovan Mitchell leap, and he has been one of the more improved players this season. He could win the most improved player award, but I guess you could also look at it the lens that, hey, he might be too good where they don't get their first round pick this year and they end up giving it to the Oklahoma City Thunder. Right now, they're at number 6. I think they should be fine, but we'll see what ends up happening on the lottery night. And then I'm watching and I'm like, okay, Nurkic is dropping some dimes. He's also getting like every single rebound over Rudy Gobert, who if you asked me today and like Wemby doesn't qualify, Rudy Gobert would be my defensive player of the year. So I tweeted out like his real screenshot, 16 points, 18 rebounds, 10 assists, the most hilarious stat line all season. It's got 1.1 million views because not shortly after the game ended, I tweeted it once the game ended. I get a quote tweet from Jusuf Nurkic. When the LinkedIn bio says entrepreneur, but the bank account says relaxed. That's at 5.5 thousand likes. That's at 1.2 million views. A lot of replies because you guys were definitely on my side, I would say, for the most part. And this as well. Some of these actually, like I've said it multiple times, but they had me in tears as of late. I did in a short for Enjoy Basketball as well, where I kind of just said, you know what? I was actually trying to be nice to Jusuf Nurkic because I meant like hilarious and like I can't even believe it, to be honest with you, because Nurkic went for, or he gets traded to Charlotte last year, and Phoenix had to attach a first round pick to get off of the Jusuf Nurkic deal, which I believe is right here at Patrick Gungba in a swap in a way. And it also happened against like a hot team in the Minnesota Timberwolves. I know they lost to San Antonio and Houston, but they've been one of the better teams over the last few weeks leading up to that. And Rudy Gobert, who I just said I think could be defensive player of the year. So I was going to talk about the Utah Jazz anyway today. That's just a funny wrinkle in this. And we'll probably talk about Nurkic at one point as well, because he's been giving them some good minutes where the Jazz are low-key trying to lose games. Now, you can see their injury report right now. Kevin Love's out for rest. You know, he's older. Walker Kessler, we know, is out for the year, which kind of sucks because I've enjoyed watching this Jazz team so much with their improved young core. And Kessler at the start of the year, with such a small sample size, was knocking down threes. I liked his finish last year as well. And we only got to see 5 games from him this year where he was averaging 14 points and 11 rebounds. And I'm a little nervous how the shot could look off shoulder surgery, especially for a big man, but we'll get into like what his contract can look like going forward as well. Lauri Markkanen has missed a decent amount of games with an illness. I don't know if they've said it like anymore or given us more information about the illness. He hasn't played in 9 days. Last game was the 12th against Cleveland with an illness. Now, I don't know how serious this illness can be. If it's the flu, if it's COVID or anything like that, I do feel like 9 days is a decent amount, so it might be something more serious. Because I don't want to speculate and say that, you know, they might be getting a fine soon because they're extending this because they're trying to lose games to keep their first round pick. Because right now in the lottery or in the 2026 draft, their first rounder is top 8 protected. So if they fall to 9, if they fall to 10, they're not getting their pick and it's going to the Oklahoma City Thunder, which is very scary. So if you look at this right now, they would actually have a 3.7% chance giving it to OKC. I guess 3.8% because they could drop to number 10. So they probably, yeah, you don't want to finish lower than 6 in the standings right now. So if you look at kind of like the rest of the NBA landscape, Utah's 15-29. I mean, Charlotte is about a game and a half better. Milwaukee should be trying to compete for the rest of the year. You hope that like eventually New Orleans will end up better than you because New Orleans doesn't own their first round pick, so they have nothing to play for. So that could make a little bit more sense when it's all said and done. But I've enjoyed the Utah Jazz a ton this year. Now, I guess the underlining metrics like aren't great defensively at all. They're still ranked 30th defensively. I mean, their veteran core is Kevin Love, George Niang, Kyle Anderson, Svi Mikhailiuk, Jusuf Nurkic. Like, it's nothing to write home about. I don't know if they're going to get anything for those guys at the deadline. Some of them might just have to be buyout candidates because this team maybe needs to stop winning games. But their offense is 16th in the NBA this year. They might not trade Lauri Markkanen anymore, who did sign an extension with Utah a little bit ago. He's making 46 mil this year, 46 mil next year, 49 million in 2028, and 53 million in 2029. And I know some Jazz fans that are like, unless we're getting like Dylan Harper from the Spurs, or if we're getting the Pelicans pick swap from the Hawks, like we are not trading Lauri Markkanen at any cost, which is kind of wild because if you remember a year ago, I made a video on my SROS channel talking about the 15 worst contracts in the NBA. And I had Lauri Markkanen mentioning, or I mentioned him in that video because he played 55 games in 2024, gets that extension, does not get traded to Golden State. 2025, though, last year, he was banged up a little bit. He shot 42% from the field, 52% on twos, which was the lowest over the last few years in Utah, 34% on threes, 19 points per game, and he's just gone up to 28 points per game. Can a player win most improved player twice in a 4-year span? He's played 33 games this year. I don't know how much he's really going to play in the second half, and the big picture and the Jazz at their fullest potential excites me so much with Markkanen. The only thing that I'm going to be a little bit pessimistic about when we finally get to that peak with Utah, when we get to the young core's peak, is Markkanen going to be kind of on the downturn a little bit, right? Like, is he going to be north of 30? The defense plummets a little bit. He's not going to be as shifty. He's not going to be as good of a ball handler and as quick and as strong down low. I mean, he's only 28. Like, I'm 26 years old. I don't want to say that 28 is old. I'm just saying, like, he gets to 31. How does his game age? Does he have more injuries? Are they more prevalent? He's 7'1". He's never played more than 70 games in his career. Now, I'll take the last few years with a grain of salt because the Jazz have tried to somewhat tank after overachieving in 2023, where they're like, I think they got fined for something with Markkanen last year. So I'm going to hope that when the Jazz are at the peak of their powers and they're competing for a playoff spot, we can actually see 70 plus games from Markkanen in his career. I mean, we have yet to see Markkanen play in the playoffs, correct? I don't think Markkanen has ever played in a playoff series. Like, if I go to his basketball reference, there's going to be no playoff series tab, I believe. Yeah, Markkanen has yet to play in the playoffs, so we have no idea what he would look like there. But he's been great this year, and you have to be thrilled because, one, he's good for you. Two, he's good for his trade value, which helps out Utah, whatever direction they want to go in. You got to talk about Keonte George when you're talking about a most improved player. I love Ryan Rollins' story, Colin Gillespie's story. You can give it to Denny Avdia, Jalen Johnson. Keonte George is right there as well. Peyton Watson, all those guys this season. Keonte George is averaging 24 points per game, 4 rebounds, and 6.7 assists. I've been right on some things when I talk to you guys. I've been wrong on some things. I was not the biggest fan of Keonte George coming out of Baylor. I'll tell you that. And I didn't love Keonte George in his first 2 years. Now, there was flashes, and honestly, he impressed me a ton in his rookie season because I did not think he was ready to be an NBA ball handler. And it's not like it resulted in wins. Like, the Jazz have been one of the worst teams in the NBA since he's been drafted up until this year. And there were some bad turnovers. There was some bad shot selection. But honestly, this team and what they're committed to under Ryan Smith, Danny Ainge, Will Hardy, like, they're focused on development and they're focused on being patient and not making any too reactionary decisions to saying, okay, we need to go and cut bait on this guy because he's been bad for a year and a half. Like, no, this team cares about its player development, and Keonte George was not great around the rim. Shot selection wasn't perfect, and maybe the efficiency dips off at one point this year, but 46% from the field, 37% from three, 90% from the free throw line, which is, up 9% more from last year. Shout out to his free throw coach in the offseason. 7.2 free throw attempts a night. I don't know, like, how crazy his whistle is. Like, I don't know if it's like Denny or superstar level whistle. Like, I'm not really watching games and focusing on the margin of contact. Do I think that you deserved 7 free throws tonight? That's not really how I watch the game. I could maybe just decide next Jazz game I'll watch and see his free throws, but that's very impressive. And that's how you could be a 24 point per game scorer if you're going to get to the line 7 times a night and hit 90% of them. Like, that is amazing. 6.7 assists, 4 rebounds. He's 22 years old. The 2023 draft class as a whole, it's been all over the place at times, but he's outplayed the 3rd overall pick, Scoot Henderson. You can make an argument because of what he could be as an offensive player, and you may value that more over defense. Yeah, you might have him over Amen Thompson going forward. Like, Anthony Black has been great this year, but look at all the people drafted ahead of him that he has outperformed. Kobe Buffkin, Hawkins, Dick. I mean, Lively hasn't really stayed healthy and hasn't looked the same since Luka. Jet. Like, I love Cason Wallace, and he's perfect in OKC. And I think for OKC and what they do, I'd probably rather have Wallace in some ways in a playoff series than George. But, like, I'm taking George if I'm starting a franchise. I'm taking George over Hendricks, Walker, Koulibaly, probably even over Anthony Black, although Black has been great this year. The Thompson twins are great. I still have hope in Scoot Henderson. And honestly, like, in a redraft, you could give me a sound argument he should go number 2 in a redraft, which is crazy, but I think factual, and I think it would be a good take. He has been unreal this year, and I think I stand by my tweet. He is changing the trajectory of this franchise. Like, I think Darren Peterson is going to be a phenomenal NBA player, but it's not a guarantee that Peterson will have a year like George is right now. It's not a guarantee. I do expect him to have a season as good as Keonte is having right now, but this man is a stud at 22 years old. He has the confidence, he has the motor, the intensity, and just, I think, has done wonders this year under Will Hardy. It sucks Walker Kessler has only played 5 games. The Jazz are one of the very few teams with cap space. Go out and extend Walker Kessler. I don't think there's any point. Like, some team will give him a deal. Like, Indiana will find a way. Boston will find a way. So you're going to match probably whatever he gets. I don't know what a realistic offer would be. I mean, in a perfect world, it's like the Onyeka Okongwu extension, which he's now making 15 to 16 to 16.8. I think he's going to make more than that. And I think he could leverage to Utah that you guys have cap space. You don't really have a long-term center after me. So pay me what I'm worth. So maybe he does get 4 for 80. Maybe he gets 3 for 75 in a player option, or he gets what Hartenstein just got. I don't know. Either way, you got to extend Kessler. I think he's worth it. Kyle Anderson probably won't be on this team next year, or they can waive him. I don't think they can bring him back. I want to talk about Ace Bailey a little bit, who's not been talked about as much as like Flag, Knipple, and Edgecombe. And I think rightfully so. Ace hasn't been as impactful as those guys who are exceeding expectations and have been unreal right away. But Ace Bailey looked so good against Minnesota. I would say that's his best game of the year. Maybe the Golden State game earlier this year. Rivals it. I think that was his second most points he scored in a game, but he looked so athletic out there, and that just got me so excited. Jusuf Nurkic, good passing big man. He found Ace Bailey cutting multiple times. He tried to have like 3 different posterizers, it felt like, in this game as well. He knocked down 3 threes, and it was always going to be developmental with Bailey. I think it was a weird spot for him at Rutgers. I said it ad nauseum that I loved his fit in Utah, and we're going to see the progression from Ace over the course of this year. And who knows what Ace's ceiling is going to be. I don't even think Utah knows what level we could reach with Ace when you're going into year 2 and going into year number 3. But I think there is some nice underlining metrics with him this year. And we're still so early into his NBA career, right? Like, he's only played 37 games. I'm just crossing my fingers that he's healthy this year. He's healthy next year. And this could be, I think that the 3-point shot is going to be a big swing skill for him as well. But you have this athletic, good ball handling wing that could shoot and now can be kind of a secondary role to Keonte and a tertiary role when Lauri Markkanen is out there as well. And it's all going to depend what happens in the lottery. Like, if they land, obviously, one of these top 3, it could bump Ace down the scoring pecking order in Utah. You're obviously going to be fine if you land AJ Boozer or Peterson. And I know AJ goes to a ton of Jazz games because it's right down the road and he's friends with Keonte George, and like Kilbolson will be a good fit. Any of the guards I think could be out there with Keonte, because Keonte could be a 1 or a 2, whatever you need him to be moving forward. I think it's fascinating to look at maybe some of the other top 10 picks that haven't maybe worked out fully yet. Cody Williams, we all know he's got off to a slower start in his career, but he's coming alive as of late. He had a really nice dunk last night against the Minnesota Timberwolves. He had what do you have? 8 points. And it's funny because when he had like the worst plus minus in NBA history against the Hornets, or I think it was tied, or the worst, he actually didn't play that bad in that game, which is pretty unfortunate. But if we look in the month of January, it's a small sample size. How many games have they played in January? 12 games, actually. It's a decent amount. 9 points, 3 rebounds, 60% true shooting. This is probably the best stretch of Cody Williams' career, which is now getting me excited about what he can be. And if he can be like your 8th best player on your team, 7th best player, I think you take that, because maybe we were being a little bit negative of what he could be long-term not too long ago. Taylor Hendricks, I would like for him to play more. I mean, it's been definitely an adjustment period off the gruesome injury last year. So this man has really only played like the month of March is when he got legitimate playing time in 2024. Last year was a wash. This year is kind of like a rehab year. It's going to be a pivotal year for. It's just if Utah makes their 1st round pick, they have some young players on the team, like, can we still prioritize Hendricks moving forward? When you have Ace, when you have Lauri Markkanen kind of in that front court, you're going to have Kessler in that front court as well. And like Cody Williams is kind of in that front court at times. Will they draft somebody in the front court? Will they sign somebody in the front court? Kyle Filipowski this year, I mean, he doesn't really help out their defense at all. I mean, they're the worst. They're the worst ranked defense anyway, so you might as well just have him out there. But I still think he's an intriguing piece and has 100% exceeded his value as the 32nd pick in the 2024 draft. You guys know that I loved Isaiah Collier, who went way later than he should have. He played great against Minnesota as well. He had 18 points, 10 assists, was going right at DiVincenzo down the lane. He's averaging 9 and 6 this year. If Collier could just be a better free throw shooter, this man could average like 13 points a night. I mean, he's only taken 3 a night, but if you watch him at USC and now what we know, like, he needs to get into that Keonte George camp of shooting free throws. I mean, George had a better touch, and I don't think Collier could ever be like a great 3-point shooter. So maybe that's like his peak as a good bench guard. But that's fine because Keonte George is obviously your guy going forward. I still think Collier has already performed what we thought he could be as the 29th overall pick. We haven't to see these guys in a playoff series play meaningful basketball, but I think you got to be really encouraged with what they've done in their young career so far. Walter Clayton, 22 years old. He's a little bit on the older side. He was a 4-year guy out of Iona and Florida, but the three-point shot, it's still an adjustment period to the NBA level, right? And who was that poster dunk against? Was it against Cleveland? Where it's like, oh, he has this type of athleticism. It's just another piece in here, in like the Jazz quantity that gets you excited moving forward. I mean, maybe they find somebody to take on Mikhailiuk. I think they could. I don't know if they would want to trade Mikhailiuk at 28 years old, and he's a good three-point shooter, but I'd rather see the young guys get some minutes. I mean, Sensabaugh, he's also been on a tear as of late as well. He's dealing with an illness. I don't know if we have a trend here in Utah, but 43 points against Chicago. Then he had 27 against Dallas, and then he had 25 against Dallas as well. Last year, we had like a back-to-back stretch with Bryce Sensabaugh against Florida and Miami, where it's like, okay, he's starting to break out. He was really good in Summer League. He was really good in preseason shooting the ball. And then at the start of the year, he's not really playing a ton. Now, Sensabaugh is kind of like, not like in the Cam Whitmore camp, but he doesn't really do a lot else besides score the basketball. So I can see why Will Hardy's like, you need to earn your playing time. You need to defend better. You need to play make better. You need to move without the ball a little bit better as well. But 22 years old, another guy that kind of fell in the draft with his medicals, has definitely outperformed the 28th overall pick. It's funny because like Hendricks, injured, right? No circumstances, but like Keonte George and Sensabaugh have outplayed their top 10 pick. Cody Williams has been outplayed by Filipowski and Collier, but I think Cody Williams definitely has a high ceiling. He was always a raw player coming out of Colorado. We'll see if they get anything for my arch nemesis, Jusuf Nurkic, the Bosnian beast, who's actually been like kind of unreal. That's why they have to give him DNPs, because he's helping them win games. 16 points, 14 rebounds, 5 assists. He's on his Sabonis arc. I mean, he was literally traded with a first-round pick for Vasily Micic last year by the Phoenix Suns to get off that contract. 11 points, 10 rebounds. He was traded for Sexton in the offseason. I mean, Charlotte could definitely use somebody like Nurkic right now. And he's been good. I don't think anybody's trading for Nurkic, because unless you have a bad matching salary, like, I'm trying to think, like the Knicks can't get there. I'm trying to think of teams that need a center. Like, I don't think Boston really wants him. Indiana wouldn't want him. He's making 19.3 on an expiring. I think teams are maybe hoping he's bought out. Maybe he can get like a contract now in the offseason potentially. But yeah, maybe he's playing too good where the Jazz are like, we'll actually re-sign you in the offseason and you could be a good backup for Walker Kessler next season. I think I've kind of hit on everybody. Like, going forward, Kevin Love, good veteran in the locker room. This team does have at least one first-round pick this year, which we know about the protection. Then next year, they have the Lakers first-rounder. They're going to have their first-rounder. And they're going to have another swap as well. So they should have 2 first-rounders in next year's draft. And then 2028, they have a swap with Cleveland. 2029, they have a swap with Minnie. So they still have some more assets from the Mitchell and Gobert trade. Plus, that 2031 first from the Suns, who traded away 3, they got 3 lesser tier first. One of them was to get off the Nurkic deal. And Utah got Phoenix's unprotected 2031 first round pick, which is kind of crazy. So I think you got to be excited if you're the Jazz and their fans. And I feel like we've hit rock bottom with this team already, which is great. Like, the Jazz last year was probably rock bottom in a way, where they ended up going 17-65, 31-51 and 37-45. Will Hardy got the most out of this team. It's weird though, yeah, because they'll lose by 60 to the Charlotte Hornets or whatever, but they're 15-29. Their offenses look better this year. I still think in a perfect world, you're seeing these leaps out of the young core, but I think you need your first round pick this year. It would really suck if you gave up pick 8 or pick 9 in this NBA draft, because you're trying to just add another piece, another asset moving forward in a very strong top 10 as well. And then you hope you're maybe never picking in the top 10. And if you are, it's from the Cavs or the Timberwolves or the Suns in some type of swap moving forward. So I hope you guys did enjoy this video. It's kind of a long one talking about the Utah Jazz, but they're exciting me right now. Let me know what you guys think about the Jazz. Let me know what you guys think about the Bosnian Beast, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.